yung mga names
Sir
natin.
Gentleman pa lang.
Sir Mark June, Sir Info. Sino isang live?
Ayan, dalawa pa lang, sir. And yung info wala sa technical side natin. So, Jericho and Mark.
Sir Mark, from the participant list, I see that you're from Coco Life.
Sulat mo.
Mag-take note kayo.
Sino po? Ano po pangalan ng isa? Si Sir
Jericho. Ayan, Sir Philip, if I may interrupt.
Ayun.
Ayan, salamat. Sir Philip, if I may interrupt, paunti-unti na pong pumapasok ang mga estudyante. So, I will reintroduce you once again and give the quick house rules. Salamat, Sir Philip.
Okay.
I'll interrupt you first before we officially start. Ayan, the students. Hello, magandang babae at lalaki kayo. Kapag sign in po, pa-mute na lang po ng mga mikropono. Salamat. Please mute your microphone
Mute
now.
daw
And
yung
please,
microphone.
salamat. At ibukas ang video camera if possible. Maraming salamat. Para naman yung ating great facilitator is ramdam na may kausap talaga siya sa webinar na ito. Lahat naman tayo ay magaganda at guwapo. So we have Junabels, Mark, Lilette, Jericho, ulitin po namin, lahat ng mga estudyante nandito na, hindi pa po kami nag-uumpisa, binigyan namin kayo ng grace period dahil baka nakakaranas kayo ng internet problem. Our great facilitator, Mr. Philip Chua, is now in the house. So, we will officially start in a few minutes. So, habang nandito na po kayo, our quick, very few house rules. Please mute your microphone palagi. Please, all the time po natin i-mute ang microphone. And please turn on your video cam. Matutulungan po natin ang facilitator to make this highly interactive. At ayan na nga ang mga estudyante, ang mga future Excel masters. So, Sir Philip, we have now 1, 2, 3, 4 students admitted in the lobby. Ayan. Ayan. Junabels, Lilette, Mark. Ayan. Sige. So to those who are here now, I am Christine Loyola. I'm one of the managing partners of Mentor Group Asia. At sa kasulukuyan po, back-to-back po yung aming mga Excel webinars at this moment. Kaya ang inyong lingkod ay napaka-excited na samahan ang ating facilitator na si Mr. Philip Chua. So muli, house rules, mute your microphone. Pero kapag may katanungan po kayo or gusto nyong maitatanong sa inyo si Mr. Philip Chua, paki-unmute na lang po ang microphone. Pwedeng tumawa at magtanong for the next 2 to 3 hours. So it's 1:06, I believe. Yeah, I think it's just perfect na mag-umpisa na tayo officially. I'm sure may mga hinanda pang icebreaker or warm-up or maikling kwentuhan si Mr. Philip Chua. Muli, good afternoon. Welcome to Mentor Group Asia. And this is our advanced Excel webinar for everyone. And I'm excited na matuto kayo to one of our Excel gurus, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Philip Chua. Sir Philip, as you start officially, I will just continue accepting students po. Okay po, Sir Philip? Maraming salamat. Enjoy your class, everyone.
Okay, so good afternoon everybody. Pwede po bang mag-wave tayo? Hello. Say good afternoon to the mic.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon po.
Good afternoon po.
Ano, sa iba yan.
Yes, yan. Okay. Raise of hands po. Sino po ang nasa bahay? 1, 2. Okay. So, ano po tayo, no? Fair. Ako rin po nasa bahay. So there's a scheduled PLDT, internet maintenance. So I hope hindi tayo maapektuhan. Sana tuloy-tuloy tayo. Okay, so again, my name is Philip Chua. You could call me Phil. Para po mabilis, madaling tandaan. I've been using Excel in my work since I started working after graduation. So mga 2000, 2001. So from the start po na hindi pa ako marunong, I literally started with Excel with nothing, knowing nothing about it. Then nagamit ko sa trabaho. I made a mistake, made a few mistakes. I was with benefits processing at one point in my career, and because I didn't know, I didn't know all the ins and outs, or I didn't I didn't know how to use the tool or Microsoft Excel very effectively. Nagkamali po ako. Maraming hindi nakatanggap ng benefits for that month. So, but that was 2001, 2002, about 18 years ago. So, yun po. So, who uses Microsoft Excel in their everyday work? Does everybody? Not po? Okay, one. Who manages a team who uses Excel dun sa work nila? Sir Mark Jun din. Okay, how about the two ladies po? How about po si Ma'am Lilibet?
Talaga na.
Do you use Excel in work or in the business, or do you have a team that uses it and you manage them? Ma'am Lilibet? Yeah, tayo marinig ni Ma'am. You're on mute, Ma'am. Lilibet ba yun o Miss Lilet? Ma'am Lilet.
Lilet po.
Sorry po.
Kaya di po ako sumasagot. Hello po.
Hindi nga yan, kasi sabi niya sa...
Ano po ba background ni Ma'am Lilet?
Sa payroll po. Apo, sa receiving po ni Ma'am Linet.
Okay. So yung Microsoft Excel po gamit nyo sa pag-process ng input files para sa Excel, para sa payroll system?
Opo,
or yung
sa mga
payroll system
Excel
nyo?
po.
Excel yung mismong pinang-payroll.
Mhm.
Kasi po dati ako gumawa ako ng a very rough payroll system using Excel lang. So Excel yung pang-input ko, Excel yung compute ko, siya rin gumagawa ng payslip. So andun po lahat. Medyo mabigat lang pag maraming pinapasweldo.
Opo.
Okay po. Sino po tong ating isang magandang ma'am na isa pa po, nakalagay po live lang eh. Ano po yung name nila?
Sir Phil, that may be Juna Bells. Arcelia, another student, Juna Bells.
Ma'am Juna Bells.
Juna Babies po.
Ma'am Juna, kayo po, saan niyo po ginagamit yung Microsoft Excel? Fiscal exam,
Opo.
Naka-mute pala ako, sorry. So Ma'am Julia Babes, paano niyo po ginagamit yung Excel sa work niyo?
Ano ko po sometimes lang po pagkagagawa ng overtime statement.
Okay. So, ginagawa niyo lang po yung format, then yung sinasubmit niyo yun?
Opo.
Okay. Okay. Si Sir Jericho, I think ginagamit nila araw-araw yung Excel. For accounting, tama po ba?
Yes po.
Okay, sige po. Sige po, let's start. Thank you for your answers. So we will be discussing a few advanced advanced functions or advanced formulas and how to use them in the proper order. So apat lang po tayo. I'm not sure what time or kung darating po yung iba. Pero better po yun, better. That means we can have longer time for exercises. And hopefully, we could also have time or I can guide you with your screens, through your screens on doing the formulas on your own, the functions on your own. So lahat po ba naka-laptop or naka-computer?
Cellphone lang po.
Okay. Hindi po ba kayo mahirapan? Meron po tayong mga share na Excel screens later. Meron po ba kayong pero okay lang po kung wala. If you're joining the webinar through your cell phone, meron po ba silang katabing computer where you could have the practice sheets?
Yung gamitin mo yung isang computer.
Better po kasi kung meron tayong computer na gamit. If not, dun sa gamit natin sa meeting, meron po tayong katabi para makapag-practice po tayo. Because learning is better when we're doing it as well. Good afternoon. Welcome, Sir Christopher. Pa-thumbs up lang po if you have your computer ready. Also, have you downloaded the attached Excel files na pinadala ni Miss Janet sa emails natin? Okay, thank you, Sir Mark. So you would want to open dalawa po yan, dalawang Excel yan, isang advanced Excel, yung isang may master sa dulo, isa user. The master has the answers, yung user po blanco. So you can open both, but during the activity, I suggest that you have the user file as your primary file that's open. Pwede po tayong sumilip, kumopya dun sa master, pero let's try to use the user version file so that it's blank, so that you can make the formulas on your own as we go along. Welcome, Miss Rain. Miss Rain, meron po silang ano, are you in front of a computer? Okay, great. Okay, welcome, Sir Joshua, to the Advanced Excel webinar.
Sir Philip Chua, once again sa lahat ng mga kakapasok lamang, I am Christine, part of Mentor Group Asia. We have started, nag-introduction pa lang po si Mr. Philip Chua, ang ating speakers ngayong afternoon nito. And Sir Philip, once again, welcome sa lahat ng mga kakapasok lamang. Please keep your microphone muted, and if you can turn on your video cam, please do so. Kung hindi naman, okay lang din naman po. And malaking tulong ang inyong pagtango at pag-thumbs up, especially kung may tanong po kayo, paki-unmute na lang. Kung hindi po ma-mute, senyas lang kayo and then we will unmute for you. Once again, our Excel guru, Mr. Philip Chua. Sir Philip, I will continue to accept students and then continue ka lang po with the class. Maraming salamat, Sir Philip.
Okay, thank you, Miss Christine. Does everybody see the PowerPoint slide? Yung nga lang po, hindi ko makita reactions ng people.
And nawala ulit, Sir Philip, para share na lang po.
Yes, hold on.
Salamat po.
Okay po, let's start. Okay, again, welcome everybody to the Advanced Excel Functions and Formulas webinar hosted by the Mentor Group Asia. Thank you, Mentor Group, for this webinar. I'm your facilitator, Philip Chua. Okay, okay na po yun. Very quick introduction. I've been using Excel for about almost 20 years. I started 2000 and 2001. I started with no knowledge, and as my work needed more knowledge about it, then I started studying more about it. Excel has been a vital role. Microsoft Excel has been a vital role in the advancement of my career. Dito po ako na-promote. Dito po ako nagkaroon ng, this is what gave me the edge in my personal corporate ladder growth, or yung pag-akyat po natin. And I believe that Microsoft Excel has made it possible for me to hold positions such as a workforce manager, and the head for business intelligence for an online English learning platform. So today, again, we're going to be learning a few concepts, a few functions, advanced functions and formulas, and how to use these functions and formulas actually. In the hopes of, it will help us with our jobs, make our jobs faster. In my Excel trainings before, I used to play an activity on how much time will be saved by learning a few tricks and tips. Wala pa pong functions, wala pa pong formulas. How much time can Excel save you? Even mga gumagamit ng Excel, when you jump to the end of the screen, to the beginning of the screen, to the start of a list. So we used to compute that. Ilan now that you learned this shortcut, gaano kabilis ang na-save mo sa trabaho mo? Did we save you 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes? May mga ganun po. So we'll be learning some of those as we go along. Okay, a few house rules po while we're learning. So, we are all learners here. I may be your facilitator, I may be the teacher today, but I will also be learning from you. Hindi lang po ako yung magaling. So, if you already know the function and you have another way of using or applying the function or the formula, I encourage you to please share it with the group. Okay? Number 2, sorry. So, since we're all learners, please have an open mind and an open heart. Kasi po kung tayo ay hindi open-minded, don't worry, hindi po ako magbibenta sa inyo ng produkto o pwedeng mag-recruit. Let's have an open mind, open heart. Kasi po pag hindi open ang mind and heart natin, hindi po tayo matututo. Number 2, kaya mo to. So, Excel, yung iba po na kinakabahan, na-intimidate sa Excel, just remember, kaya mo to, kaya natin to. That's why we're here. We're here to learn. And so later in the discussion, just let's all be respectful. Let's just wait our turn. Okay, so 3 things to remember during our discussion. Number 1, can I have everybody read this, please? This is GIGO. GIGO, this means garbage in, garbage out. So ano po ibig sabihin nito? Ibig po sabihin nito, it only means that if we give incorrect instructions, then we will give incorrect results. If we use the wrong formula, or if we don't know how to use a formula, then of course we will get an error. So garbage in, garbage out. So we need to learn the correct way of using formulas. Paano nga, Sir Phil? Hindi nga ako marunong. I don't know this Excel. I don't know the functions. Hindi ko po alam yan. Number 2, please remember, you are smarter than a computer. We are all smarter than a computer. Mas mabilis lang po yung computer sa atin, pero tayo po ay smarter sa computer. Computers are only doing instructions that people, humans, you and I give it. So pag mali po instructions natin, mali rin ang gagawin ni computer. Agree? Remember, kaya natin to. And number 3, it's all in the syntax. Ano po ba yung syntax? Syntax is how we write a formula. Ano po yung pagkakasunod-sunod? Ano yung tamang pagkasunod-sunod ng fields niya, ng variables niya. Because it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Sino po nakaka-relate? It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Okay. So, it's not what we say, it's not the instructions we give, but how we put those instructions in Excel para po maintindihan siya. Okay. Miss Teen?
Yes, Sir
Christine?
Phil. Yes, Sir Phil.
I'm sorry, but is there a view in MS Teams that can show me both the participants and my slides at the same time?
Sir, basta naka-open po yung slide, nasa ilalim lang po talaga sila lahat. Hindi mo po sila lahat makikita po for the Excel class.
Let me try something.
Sige
Po,
po.
kasi po hindi ko kita ang participant. So I don't know if how. Okay. So this is better.
Ayan, habang navigate ni Sir Phil, if ever kasi MS Teams talaga is up to 9 videos, that's the paid account. So pag naka-presented yung file ni Sir Phil Chua at may tanong lang kayo, huwag kayong mahihiyang mag-butt in and just unmute your microphone. Salamat, Sir Phil.
Thank you, Ms. Teen. Okay, kita na po ba ulit yung slides?
Not yet, sir.
Ito po.
Ayan,
Kita na po.
maraming salamat, Sir Phil. Okay na po.
Okay, so today, everybody, we are going to learn about these functions and how to use them in a formula. So we're going to learn sum and average, but I think everybody know by this time. I think everybody knows this, correct? The max function, the min function, the different count functions, and the if function. So maglalagay po tayo ng conditions. Maging conditional po tayo later. Hindi po yung love, conditional lang sa gagawin. And we're going to learn and we're going to incorporate yung ano po, the if function in the different arithmetical functions like sum. So we're going to learn about sum if, average if. We're going to use it sa max, sa minimum, and we're going to learn about cell references. Excited po ba? Okay. Sige po. So moving on. First, let's talk about cell references. Okay? Or better yet, ang tanong the better question is, may forever? Meron bang forever? Sino po naniniwalang may forever? Show of hands?
Wala po.
Wala. So lahat, parang puro lahat, ay proven, ano? Sino po ba nagsasabing dapat walang forever? Wala rin. Okay. Sa Excel po, ang forever, depende. Sino po, kasi, diba, we can see, there are different different people with different understanding of forever. Merong happy na may forever. Merong umiiyak. Merong galit dahil walang, siguro super heartbroken to, di ba? At meron pong walang idea na meron palang forever. Sa tingin niyo po, ano po ba yung tama? Towards Excel, in Excel, ano po ba tama? May forever or wala? Raise of hands. Sino pong nagsasabi dapat may forever? Sa Excel, ha? Sa Excel. Hindi sa buhay, hindi sa love life. Sino po wala? Okay. Sa totoo po, ang sagot po dyan, it depends. Kay F4. Pero hindi po yung grupo na yan. So, ano po ba ibig sabihin ng forever? Tsaka nang walang forever in Excel, in Microsoft Excel. So, when we talk about forever and walang forever, what we actually mean, or what we actually refer to is what we call the absolute and relative references. So absolute references, this means po that in Microsoft Excel, in the work that we do, we only look at a specific cell or value, or depende po. It's a specific place. So we can say that no matter where I put my formula, always look at A1, or no matter where I put my formula, always look at the fourth column or the fifth row. So always absolute po, ibig sabihin naka-lock yung values natin. Pag walang forever, ibig sabihin niyan yung relative reference, or ito po ibig sabihin yung gumagalaw, yung tinitingnan nating value or formula as we move our formula along. Sino po dito na-experience na may gumagawa ng formula in Excel, tapos pag drag mo sa baba, hindi na tama yung computation? Raise of hands. Sino po naka-experience nun? One, si Sir Randy, Sir Mark. Okay, tatlo lang po tayo naka-experience nun. Good job, very good. Okay, so paano po ba ito gawin? So let me share the other. Where did Teams go? Here. Okay. So, let me share our activity sheet. We are on Advanced Excel user file. We are on L1, sheet L1. So, paano po ba itong cell references? Right? So, let's see. Ito po yung sinasabi natin kanina. Sometimes, iba meron po tayong ganito. Sabi, compute for the percentage of the following. Compute for 90% of the following scores. Right? So, paano po ba ito? This is what we do, di ba? When we start with the formula, we always type in, or we start with the equal sign. So, equals this score times 0.90. Ganito po ba ginagawa natin? Tapos, I just copy and then move it along, then paste. Di ba po? So, who does it this way? Show of hands. 1. Sorry po, hindi ko makita lahat. Anyway. Alright, so anyway, if you're doing it this way, I would highly suggest that we do it another way. Kasi po, di ba, minsan pinagawa sa atin ng boss natin, o sige, compute mo yung 90% ng values na yan. Tapos pagkatapos mo i-submit, tapos na po, sabihin niya, bigay mo naman sa akin yung 75%. Pagkatapos ang binigay mo 75%, sabihin niya, sige, bigay mo sa akin ng 60%. So baka si boss merong kino-compare na budget, na allocation, di ba? So paulit-ulit po tayo. So bonus tip number 1, let's not hard code or let's not put the value that we're computing inside our formulas. So instead what I'll do is I'll reference this multiplied to this number. Diba po, 90% pa din. Pero, so every time, so pag sinabi sa atin ni boss, okay, ano yung 75% niyan? Sige po, paltang ko lang yung value sa taas, then it will compute automatically to 75%. O, bigay mo sa akin 50%. Sige po, ito 50%. So I don't have to go back into my formula and, di ba, change it to 0.9, 0.9, 0.9. So I don't have to do it every time.
Yes.
Like that. So by doing it, by multiplying it this way, kahit paltang ko po ito ng kahit anong value, magpapalit din ang values ko. Pero ito po yung ginagawa ng iba, copy, tapos paste. Tapos, sabihin natin 50% para madaling computein. 50% of 90 is 45. Tama?
Yes po.
Di ba po? 60 times 50%. Di ba 30 lang po yun? Bakit naging 2,700? Kasi when we copy the formula down, bumaba din yung tinitingnan niya. Dito kanina, tama, di ba? D8 multiplied by E7. Binaba natin siya. So, hindi na siya dun nakatingin. Nandito na siya. Diba? Tapos, yung pagagawin, babaguhin ko to, lilipat ko doon. Tapos, ganoon din dito. Mali, lilipat ko doon. So, this is what happens. Ang tawag po natin dito sa references na yan po yung relative values lang or relative reference. So what we're saying here is actually multiply the cell on the left with the cell one row up. So yung kaya D8 times E7. So if we do that, there's a next row. Tama yung first half. Sabihin niya D9. Go one cell to the left, multiply that value to one cell up. So yung 45 hindi na yung 50%. So kaya hindi siya gumagana kasi po mali yung reference natin. It should always look at E7. So how do we do that? How do we always make it look at E7? Ito po yung sinasabi natin kanina dun sa PowerPoint, dun sa deck. Yung F4. So if I click on my formula here and ulitin po natin, ha? Can everybody see the formula po? Lahat po kita yung formula?
Yes po.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Kanina, Sir Philip. Yes.
Sige po. Okay, kaya pa natin. Okay, so what we do when we write in our formula is equals this multiplied to this. Then while we're typing in the formula or while we're in edit mode, ito po yung sinasabi natin kanina, yung F4. So if we press F4 on our keyboards, you will see po magbabago yan. Magkakaroon ng dollar signs dun sa ating cell. And if we press on F4 pa, nagsa-cycle po yan. Okay, so in this, let's use this first. D8 times E7, pero yung E7 meron dollar sign between E. before letter E and before the number 7. So what does that do? So if we do that, and if we just copy our formula down, pwede rin po yun, no? Yung if we hover over the bottom right of the cell and drag it down, automatic po yan nagka-copy and paste. So if we look at the other cells ngayon, see, now it says, okay, D11, which is one cell to the left, and E7, it still points to E7. Kasi po ang ginawa natin by pressing F4 sa formula natin is we lock that reference. We made that to an absolute reference or a fixed reference. Okay? So ganun po ang pag-set. Pero, so ano po ba ibig sabihin nung mga different cycles na yan? Here. Ano po ibig sabihin niya maraming dollar sign na yan? Right? So to understand that, let's para kung nag-hang yung aking sheet. Excuse me lang po. Let me restart the file.
At habang ino-open po ni Sir Philip, kung may mga questions kayo habang nag-explain, pwede niyo po itong i-type sa chat box if possible. Salamat. Thank you din sa mga nag-raise hand. That's a big help to make this class na talagang effective at matuto kayong lahat. Sir Philip, maraming salamat po. Nakamute ka po, Sir Philip.
Yes po. Nawala lang po si Excel. Sorry. There. So may I have a volunteer, please, to read the cells that I will be putting, that I will be selecting. Or si ano lang po, si Ma'am Rain. I-share ko po yung aking Excel. Tapos po, can you read po the cells that can you read the current cell? Ano pong address na itong cell na ito? Tip, ito po siya, oh. Yan. Kita po ba? Okay. So, baka hindi po tayo marinig. Anyway, this is cell G7. Yes? Tapos, this is cell... Everybody?
H11.
Thank you. This is cell... Ito po. Anong cell address po niyan?
B2.
B2. Thank you. So ano po napansin natin, di ba? Nauuna yung letter, then, or the column, and then the row number. Di ba po? Yung B2 is B, and row 2. Yung intersection niya, kanina po, G and 7. So ito po siya. Right? So ganun din po yung ating pag-lock. So, ba po sa G7? if we say that $G7, ibig po sabihin nito, we're going to lock the column of the cell reference, pero po yung row number pwedeng bumaba. So ibig sabihin, if we drag our formula to the right, so halimbawa po, sabi natin this times, ito po baguhin natin, D11 times 2. So, ibig po sabihin nito, if I copy my formula to the right, or even to the left, it will always look at D11. Kasi po, linak natin yung column at yung column part ng address. Even if I'm at F, it will still stay at D11 times 2, D11 times 2. But the moment I copy this down, nasa column D pa rin siya, pero the row number changed. Kita po?
Yes po.
If I put the formula sa taas, ganun pa rin, nasa column D pa rin siya. Ilagay ko siya sa right, ganun, nasa column D pa rin siya. So, next po, ano po yung susunod? Try natin nakalock yung row number. So, halimbawa po yung magiging G, ang example po niyan, G $7. So this means that when I copy my formula up or down, it will always refer to G7, to the row 7 of column G. Or in our formula earlier, we need to refer to always E7, right? Dito E7 multiplied by E7. So how do I do that? Sa E7 po ako nandun, basta before or nasa gitna or after yung aking cursor. If I hit F4 and just cycle through the different locking or referencing options, hinto po ako dito, $7. So that means when I copy my formula down, nagka-copy paste lang po ako, Control V, Control C, then I copy paste pababa. Di ba po? So, all my formula still refers to column E, row 7, even if I drag it down. Pero po, if I copy it here, pansin nyo po, nasa row 7 pa rin to, pero nag-move na yung column niya to column F. Kasi hindi siya naka-lock kanina. Right? So, kanina, in our example, ito yung ginawa natin. If nakita nyo kanina, we did this one. So, ano po kaya ibig sabihin nito? Dalawa na yung dollar sign. $E, $7. Si Sir Randy, can you try and give it? Ano po kaya mangyari pag gano'n na yung ano natin?
Sir, tinetry ko sir yung ginagawa ninyo. Iba yung lumalabas sa akin. Minumultiply niya yung instead na percent na kinukuha, minumultiply niya yung yung percent, yung 50, yung 90 to 90. Ano nangyayari is 90 times 90,
Apo.
81,000%.
Baka po sir, hindi naka-percent yung ano nyo dito sa taas. Baka naka-90 ka lang here. Baka naka-900. Kasi po ito naka-percentage. Try nyo pong gawing 90 dito, tapos click nyo yung percent ito. Just in case yung iba po sa inyo.
Same pa rin, sir.
Sige po. Sige po, sir. Ganito po gawin nyo, sir. Yung inyong file, di ba, nakaganto. I-click nyo yung E8.
Okay ba?
Tapos, pwede i-press nyo yung F2.
F2.
Ganyan. Tapos, pakipicturean po sa ano. Pwede nyo po ituro yung cellphone nyo doon sa computer monitor. Para makita natin.
Laptop to laptop, sir.
Okay lang po. Paki-zoom lang po muna yung si Excel.
Okay. Sige na, sir.
Para kitang-kita ni ano, kitang-kita ng phone.
Yan ba, sir? Kita?
Hindi ko po medyo po. Pero hindi ko makita pa yung ano. Hanap ko nung name niya. Patay. 50.0%. Okay, 90. Palitan niyo po yung value ng E ng 50 lang. Walang 0.00.
Okay, sir. Percentage.
Ay, tapos po ito, naka-percentage po ito sa inyo. Isa rin yun. So, gagawin niyo po, here, nakaganto po yung sa inyo eh, naka 4,500%. So, on your number ribbon here, the number group, the ribbon, choose ano lang po dito, general.
General. Okay. Sige. Okay.
Okay, so minsan po yung pinili lang nating format. Or baka hindi napalitan yung format nung na-share ko yan earlier.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Sige po. So okay, back to our question po. 'Di ba po pag ang dollar sign nasa before the letter or the column, ang nakalak po ay column, 'di ba po? Kapag before the number or after the column marker, yung row number naman yung naka-fix. So paano po pag dalawa na? Ano kaya mangyayari? Ano kaya gagawin ni Excel?
Nakalock na po sa specific cell.
Yes, thank you, Sir Mark. So nakalock na po yun. So ibig sabihin, kahit if we move our formulas anywhere to the right, to the left, up or down, it will always look at that column and that row number. So kanina po, yung unang-una natin ginawa, D8 times $E$7. So that means kahit if I copy everything down, E7 pa rin po siya. Even if I copy this whole formula to the right, pansin niyo po, nagbago na, hindi na D8 ang binabasa niya, ito na binabasa niya, si E8. D8 times $E$7, pero nasa E7 pa rin yung ating minumultiply na rate. Again, I will copy this here. Ayun na po niya kasi walang value to. So, ito, nag-move na siya. So, G na. Kasi sabi nito, when we started the formula here, we just said D10 or one cell to the left multiplied by always E7. So, when we move the formula here to H10, so sinasabi na po natin, multiply the value of the cell to the left, which is G10, which is 10.6 multiplied by 50%. So, 5.3125 ang answer natin. So, yun po yun, no? So, again, when we cycle through the lock functions, parang naghang na naman si Excel ko. Let me restart that again. So when we cycle through the different formulas or the different locking options, yeah po. So ang unang-unang lalabas, lock both row and column and row. Kasi $E, $7. Then it will say lock row number only or lock column only. And if you press it again, bumabalik po siya dun sa naka-relative lang siya, yung wala pong lock. Okay, so ay, sorry po, hindi ko na-share.
Ngayon lang ako nakapasok, sorry.
Okay lang po, okay lang po. Nasa lesson 1 pa lang po kami. So we're still on lesson 1, cell references. So ito po yung sinasabi natin kanina, when we lock the options, ito po, the first time I hit F4 to lock E7, it will give me the option to lock both column and row. Right? The next time I press F4 is ano po siya, nasa gitna ang dollar, ibig sabihin it will only lock the row number. Next one is nauna po yung dollar sign, so it will only lock the column number or the column. And then pressing F4 again will revert it back to its default E7, hindi po siya nakalock, so ito po yung nagmo-move. Okay, so in your activity sheets on lesson 2, can we try and compute for the different values using yung tama pong pag-lock? So make sure here what we want to happen is 90 times 25%. This, what we want to happen is 90 times 50%. Pero po, hindi po natin gagawin isa-isa. If we do this formula right, ito lang po kailangan natin gawin. And then when we copy it, that formula to the right and down, tama po ang sagot niya. So, can we try and do that? I'll give everybody 5 minutes. Pag may question po, raise hand or just speak into the mic.
Okay, done na po.
Galing ni Sir Mark, ah.
To those who just got in, we have 2 students na kakapasok lang. Good afternoon. Nasa first lesson pa lang po si Mr. Phil Chua. Maraming salamat po.
Kaya po ba? So tip po dyan, yung dalawang cells ang lalagyan natin ng locking functions. So dapat pareho silang may forever. Ang tanong lang, anong klaseng lock or anong klaseng forever? Nakuha po ba, Sir Randy? So for those who just joined, we are using the Advanced Excel user file. We're on sheet L1 or lesson 1. We're at activity 2. So what we're trying to do is make one formula so that yung formula pong gagawin natin when we copy it to the right and to the and down, it will compute these values with these percentages. Okay, game. So sino po nakakuha? Sino na nakaget? Formula. 1. Si Sir Mark lang po ang nakagawa ng tama. Si Sir Randy din. Nakuha niyo, sir? Okay. Si Ma'am Lilet. Nakamute po kayo, ma'am.
Sir, wait lang po. Nagko-compute pa.
Sige po. How about si Sir Christopher? Were you able to get the activity? To do the activity? Okay. So, ganito po siya, no? So, equals, we of course start with D21. Ano pong kailangang pag-lock natin dito? Ano po dapat itsura nito? So, ano po yung ilalock natin dito sa formula na to? The column, the row, both?
Bali po sir, magkaiba po kasi yung ano. Yung sa unang cell po, ang ilalak natin is yung ano. Yung column. Then
Okay.
yung sa pangalawang cell po, ang ilalak is yung row.
Correct. So, ano po itsura nun? So, ito po ba?
Tatanggalin po yung dollar sign dun sa 21.
Ito po.
That's times E dollar 20.
Times ganito po, no? So, dollar D21 multiplied by E dollar 20. So, ibig sabihin, always look at column and then tapos kung anong current row yun, and then always look at row 20 kung ano man ang row na kung anong column number yon for this. So ibig po sabihin yan, so when we copy, so dito po, no, imbis na mag-copy paste ako, i-click and drag ko. When I go here to the bottom right, I click it to the right. So 90 times 50% is 45, 90 times 75% is 67.5. Tama po ba? Tingnan natin. If I click on F2 para po mag-highlight yung aking formula, then $D21, yung blue, ito po yung naka-highlight ng blue, so tama pa rin. And then G $20. So naka-highlight yung ito po. So tama. So let's try and drag this down pababa. So ngayon po select natin yung tatlo. Drag it down. And punta po ko dito sa dulo. F2 to check. So D25, tama po, ito pa rin. And G $20. So column G, hindi po siya nag-lock pero sa column, pero nag-lock siya sa row number. So tama pa rin. So if you did your formula this way, tama po yan. So ibig sabihin yan when we're working and pag minamadali na po tayo, boss, so when we just do that, all we have to do is one formula, copy, select where we need it to go, and then paste. Tapos. Di ba po? Kasi kung hindi natin alam yan, remember how we would have made it is equals this times 0.25 equals this times 0.25. Buti nga kung ano kung maalala natin, ay pare-pareho siyang times 0.25, i-copy ko na lang pababa. Madali lang po ito dahil ilan lang ito? 12? 15 items lang po ito. Pero kung po ang data nyo po nasa 100 or nasa 1,000 or tulad ko po, minsan sa isang araw, ang data nila download ko, 30,000 rows. At saka mga 26 columns. Ilan po yun? Equals 30 times 1 to 30,000 times 26. I have 780,000 cells in one report. Download ko po. So kung ganun karami po yung lilinisin natin, ipaprocess natin, kulang po isang araw. Ano po? So, ganun po. Meron po bang may question tungkol sa cell references before we move on? Kasi po ito yung magiging basis ng ating next topics, next lessons. Meron po bang nalilito? Meron po bang hindi nakaget?
Tanong ko lang po yung code equals $sign tapos.
So $sign, ito po.
D21 times E $20, tama po?
Tama.
Okay, thank you sir.
So, yung iba po, mas komportable mag-type, tulad ko, pwede kong gawing D21 times E $20. Pero po, halimbawa po, nagkamali kayo or kailangan baguhin to, just hit F4, F4. Yan, iikot po siya mag-isa. Or halimbawa, Dito yung D21. Click ako, either I select D21 or sa gitna lang po niya, I hit F4 again, iikot din po yan. Select ko sila pareho, iikot sila pareho. Pero, pareho din yung gagawin niya. Kung magkaiba sila, and we hit F4 on them, babalik po, magpapareho muna yan, tsaka siya iikot. So, if we have different items to lock, yung isa column, isa number, then we do it one by one po. Tulad na to. So, correct na to, $D21, ito, $20. Then, just copy paste. Okay na po. Again, if meron pong question na nahihiya pong magsalita sa mic, just put it on chat. Okay. Okay, next, let's move on. So, alam na po natin ang cell references o alam na natin na may forever. Dapat may forever, paminsan-minsan. So, let's move on. Okay, so again, F4 locks the reference or cycles through the references. Absolute means fixed locations. Ang relative, ibig sabihin gumagalaw yung formula natin depende sa paggalaw ng ating current cell. Next, remember it's faster with SAM. S-A-M-M. So ano po ba yung SAM? With sum, average, with min and max. So ano po ba ibig sabihin nun? Right? Right? Ano ibig sabihin nun? So, say we have this table. A group in their test results. Their quiz and test results, and then we're asked to give a total. Some people would do this, di ba? This plus this plus this plus this plus isa na lang, hindi makita, so I will cheat. Ayan, 201 ang total. Tama ba? Tama, 201. Sino pong ganun gumawa? Sino ganun mag-total? Mamin. Ay, magaling, wala. Kasi meron kilala, ganyan, isa-isa. Tapos equals, ulit din. This plus that plus that. O kaya, nakopy na niya isa, no? O, medyo magaling siya. Ay, gagawin na ito. Paste. So, tama pa rin. Right? Pero this would be a lot faster if we just use the sum function. Equals sum. Equals sum. Tapos po, para mag-auto-complete si Excel, after we type it, we can press tab. Tapos sum, pag ganyan na siya, display mo lang. This is very basic, but you'll be surprised of how many people I met na hindi po nagagamit itong function na to. So, yan po yung percentage niya. Percentage. Yan po ang, di ba mas mabilis? Isa lang, tapos copy-paste. Equals sum, equals sum, tab, tapos select lang with my mouse. Then I close parentheses. Yan po. Tapos I can even copy this. Gamitin ko rin sa max score sa taas and then just right click and paste values. Formula pala. Para I can keep my formatting sa taas. Right? Okay, umaga na. Tapos po, yung average, very simple lang. Type lang din natin, average, and then average. Then, I can click that dun sa mga suggestions ni Excel, or I can do average. Kapag yun ay nakaselect, then I hit tab, and then just select, then close. Follow? So, simple lang po yan. Sum and average, very simple. Ano po? So, ano ibig sabihin? 10 has a total score of 201 out of a maximum of 245. At okay, dito sa percentage po, so ganun din. If we were trying to get the percentage score of the students out of the maximum score, paano po dapat ang formula natin? By using what we learned about cell references. Sino po volunteer? Sir Mark, paano po ilalagay natin dito? Diba? What we learned earlier is we need to divide this score. Do we need to lock this cell? Yes or no? Taas po ang kamay, sabi kailangan i-lock si I9. You don't need to lock this cell kasi po ang fill up lang naman natin is one column. Hindi po tayo mag-move to the right or to the left. Down lang, so we don't need to lock the column. Right? Ng I9. So, once we copy this would become I10, I11. So, okay lang po yun, di ba? So, hindi na natin kailangan mag-lock dyan. Multiply by I8. Now, si I8, kailangan po ba natin i-lock? Yes, thank you. So, we can lock it these two ways. We can either lock it like this. Di ba po? Column na row number and column, or we can just lock it this way. Row number lang. Again, isang column lang naman ang fill up pa natin eh. Hindi pala multiply, divide. So, once I copy the formula, di ba po? So, nandun pa rin siya. If we look at the formula, it will only it divides these numbers with only I8 or the maximum total score. Diba po? So average, divide, sum, mabilis lang yan. The point of this is that we use the sum function or the average function if we want to get, let's use the arithmetical functions in Excel. Pag meron po tayong maraming numbers that we need to do, that we need to work on, kung sum man yan, kung average man yan, or whatever. Again, kung ganito po lang kaliit yung dataset natin, sana all, no? Ganito lang yung trabaho. Pero again, if we're working on 1,000 records, then hindi po natin kayang i-plus isa-isa yon. Hindi natin siya kayang i-plus minus divide isa-isa. So let's use those formulas. So sum, average. Ngayon, ito. Let's compute for the highest score. So ano po yan? Diba yung iba kukunin, ano yung highest score? 18. Dito, ano highest score? 14. Isa-isa. Again, to a small table, okay lang yan. Pero if it's a big table, hindi po natin pwedeng gawin yan. So, to do that, for a big or small function, we just use the max function. Maximum, it asks for one number or a range of numbers. So in this case, pwede po natin mag-select ng isang range. Pwedeng ganyan. Or this would also work. Isa-isa po. Separated by commas. So, when we say max D9, D10, D11, 12, 20, 14, 15, pareho lang po siya netong isa. Max C9 to C15. So this is faster. But if we wanted, let's say, to get, halimbawa, hindi kasama itong dalawa, no? We can just do max this, comma, this. So if we wanted to group certain numbers and not include other parts of our data set. So again, max, copy lang po yan, mabilis lang yan. Lowest, same lang, min. Minimum naman ang gamit natin dyan. Same, select, and then copy. Okay, so 2 minutes. Everybody please try and answer. Quiz test. These 6 numbers. Very simple lang yan. And then share with the group on how you did that part. So I'll give everybody 2 minutes.
Done na po.
Kung gusto mag-volunteer. Sino gusto mag-volunteer aside from Sir Randy and Sir Mark? Bilis, mag-volunteer kayo. Malay nyo, magbigay ng prize si Miss Teen. Okay, so Jericho, gusto po mag-volunteer? Just read your answer, tapos itatype ko siya dun sa Excel para makita ng lahat. Okay lang po ba?
Sir, saan sagot, sir? Sa
Let's do highest quiz score tsaka lowest quiz score. What?
220, sir. High score, 220.
Hindi, yung formula po. Yung formula. Paano po ang ginawa natin sa formula?
Ano, equal sign, tapos max. Ano? F15.
Ano po?
Ano po, sir? Equal sign,
Yes,
max,
max.
open and close
Oo.
parenthesis, tapos
Ano po yung range natin?
F. Ano? Wala na yan.
Ganito po ba? C19 colon E15?
G15.
Kasi highest quiz score, di ba po? So, actually, ito lang po kailangan nating i-select. Again, max. Then I will just select yung quizzes. Yung quiz scores. Kasi highest quiz score lang naman siya eh. The highest quiz score is 30. Kasi po, ito lang yung quiz. Column C to E. So that means yung lowest quiz score is the minimum of the range from C9 to E15, which is 5. Sino po nakakuha? Pa-raise hand po doon sa MS Teams. Ito po, yan. Raise hand. Okay, 1, 2. Ma'am Juna Babes. Raise na hand, thank you. Okay. So yung highest test score, ganun din po, no? Moving on. So equals max of yung test lang. Right? It's 97. Minimum of the test course is ito lang siya. Then yung percentage score, ito po siya, di ba? So min-max lang ng range na to. Equals max of this. Ay, wala. Equals max. Maaga. Equals max. I hit tab. Then I select the range. Then close parenthesis. 90% is the maximum. Equals min of this. Can do sometimes is just copy this, copy the formula. So while I'm in edit mode, no po, i-select ko lang siya, copy. Then wala ito, no? Then I hit F2 para sa edit mode, I hit paste, then back. Tsaka lang ako mag-type. Minsan po mas mabilis yun eh. Ita-type mo ulit. Select mo ulit with the mouse. In my experience, when you use the mouse, mas mabagal. So if you could use the keyboard more, if you could type in your ranges, your formulas, mas mabilis po yun. Okay. So, basic arithmetic, I hope na you guys are on my second screen. So kaya lumilingon pa ako. I hope this will help make your work faster with the sum, the average, the max, and the min. Meron din po yan other ways of finding the first highest, the second highest, the third highest. Diba? Minsan yung mga top 10. Give me the top 10 people who has, ano po ba sa MMDA? Top 10 drivers with most, with most violations. Ganon. Or top 10 enforcers na pinakamaraming huli at saka pinakakonting huli. Mga ganon. So we could use, pag box po, isa lang binabalik niyan eh. Pero we could use max and min to tweak natin yan to give us a second highest, a third highest, the fourth highest. Or but there's another function. If we have time, I'll show it to you on how to give the first, the second, the third, or kahit ilan ang gusto nyo na pagkasunod-sunod ng highest and lowest. Okay. So, moving on. Ito basic lang ito eh. What we want to do next time is, normally binibilang sa atin yung what we're asked to do in your job is to count a certain number of items, di ba, in a report. Ilan ang galing ng taba, ilan ang mga order ng uniform parts, ilan ng small, right? So once we have that in Excel already, madali na po yun. Hindi na tayong 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, di ba? Ganon. So, to make to make that easier, we could use of the count function in Excel. So, yung count po, merong 5 kinds of count function in Excel. Right now, we're going to look at 3. We're going to see the count A or count A, and count blank. Pero kung ibig sabihin nun, count blank, very, very obvious. Binibilang niya ang count of blank cells sa isang range na specified natin. Right? Yung isa, yung count A is count the number of cells that are not empty. So, if we use, so it will count both number and cells with numbers and non-numbers such as text. Yung count naman po, binibilang lang niya kung ilan yung may number. So with this example, for example, we have here 12 item table. There's 11 names. As you can see, blanco yung isa. And there are 10 scores. Tama po ba 10? 9 scores. Tapos yung dalawang score blanco, yung isa NA. So, if we use the count function, for example, if we use the count function for this range, okay, nagtatampo na naman siya. One moment. Ayaw. Okay. So going back, if we use the count function dun sa names, let me update this. Kaya po natin ganyan. If we use the count function dito sa numbers, it will give me a value of 12. But if I use it dun sa names, it will only count, it will give us a result of 0. Because range na ito, from age 5 to age 16, wala naman pong number. Kaya ang result ng count ay 0. If I use it sa column I, or the number of tokens, it will give us a result of 9. Again, because the count function counts the number of cells with a number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Kahit po yung ating range ay 12 cells, only 9 has numbers. So 9 lang yung result. So in contrast, let's use count A. So not empty. So if I do this, sabi niya there's 12 non-empty cells from G5 to G16. There's 11 non-empty cells from H5 to H16. Dito po, ano kaya sagot? Anybody? Ano po sagot dito if we use count A for column I? Let's try. Count A. Actually, copy paste. The answer is 10. Because there are 10 non-blank cells. So yung NA po dito, binilang din niya kasi it has value. It's not a number, but it has value. It's not empty. But if we use the count blank, zero. Dito po, ano sagot? 1. Kasi isa lang yung blank row. And same here. Dito, dalawa. Dalawa yung blank. Okay? Questions? with the count functions? Okay. So, let us look at ano ba susunod natin. So, we're done with the count function. We looked at count, count A, count blank, count if. Next is, let's look at the if function. Diba? Ito yung sinasabi natin kanina ng mga conditions. Ano ba yung if function? So, the if function basically is what it is. It's a big if. Diba? Yung, halimbawa, diba? Lalabas tayo, yung if or kung, lalabas tayo kung hindi umulan. Diba? May mga ganun tayong decisions. If A, then do B, else do C. Ayan. If hindi mainit, magja-jogging ako bukas. Pag mainit, tutulog ako. Ganun siya. So basically, the if function is written this way. You have your condition that needs to be met or that needs to be answered by a true or a false. Then, ano yung papagawa nating Excel if the condition is true? Ay? Why is my Excel not there? Okay. Wala palang ano kanina, wala palang slide, wala palang Excel. Okay, so the if function, di ba? If, so there's the logical test or the condition that we need to fulfill that is answerable by true or false. That's why it's a logical test. Then, what value do we return or what do we ask Excel to do if the condition is true, if the test is true, and what value to return if it's false. So at its simplest, halimbawa ganito lang yan. If dito yung ating input. Equals if this equals true. Ito muna. Then true. Otherwise false. So if B is true, kapag may value, then this cell will return true. Otherwise, pag hindi, it will return false. So dahil walang value si B, then false. So if we put any value here, hindi siya true. If we put true, nagiging true. Right? So, how do we do that? Right? Yung value na yan, let's say 1 na lang. If B3 equals 1, I have to apologize. Naghahang si Excel to think that this is Microsoft Teams. Naghahang siya sa kapatid niya.
Right. We feel you, Sir Phil. We feel you. That's something we can control. That's okay.
Okay. These were 1. Is B1 1? True. Is B2, if we put 2, is B2 1? Then we return false. Right? Now, the if function either returns a value or we can give it another thing to do. Like if it's 1, then sum 1, 2, 3, 4. If it's not 1, then let's say we can, let's have it do something. Average. Average. Para malino. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? If it's 1, then, ano sabi natin, isam niya yung numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 1 and 2 is 3, and plus 3 is 6, plus 4 is 10. So, dahil this is 1, ginawa niya tong step na to. If it's not 1, if it's false, then it will skip this part. Is B3 equal to 1? No, it's currently 2. So, let's do the other thing, which is average 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And apparently, the answer is 2.5. So, let's put this to the test, right? So, right here, I have a speed monitor. So, what we need to do is put in the current speed and a speed limit. So, ano rin kailangan natin gawin? Let's output this message, these messages. So, if the current speed is greater than the speed limit, then we need to display slow down over speeding. If the current speed is less than or equal to the speed limit, then ang display lang nito is drive safely. Right? So, how do we do that? So, ayan. Ayan siya. So, first, ano yung logical function natin? Diba? If it's less than, the current speed is less than the speed limit or equal to, then we only output the same thing. Right? And if it's higher, then we output something different. So basically, we only need to compute for one thing or two things, right? If we think of this carefully, then we only need to compute one thing, right? So in this answer, or in this exercise, what we did is, sabi natin, if wala ko na siya. One second. While we're waiting for my Microsoft Excel to relaunch, does anybody have questions on what we've already talked about? Anybody? Okay, good. So, okay. So as I was saying, we only need to compute one or two things, right? Actually, we only need to compute if we're going over the speed limit. Kasi if we're less than the speed limit, we only need to compute if we're over. Kasi doon lang tayo kailangan mag-true na condition to give the slowdown over speeding warning. If it's not greater than the speed limit, that means it's equal or less than. Pareho lang naman, di ba? Pareho lang yung kailangan nating step. So we can only, pwede natin siyang i-combine into one into one instruction or in the same instruction. So basically, what we need to do lang is if the current speed is greater than the speed limit, right? If D8 is greater than D7, then we could type that in, slow down, overspeeding, or I could just click on this cell. Right? So if it's not greater than the speed limit, in this example, is 4 greater than 100? Yes or no? Yes, di ba? Sorry, no. Right? So and if this was 100, is 100 greater than 100? No din. It's equal. Right? So if it's not overspeeding, it's either equal or less than the speed limit, then we only need to give that message. So let's try. If this was 4, drive safely, correct? If this was 90, still drive safely. If this was 120, ayun, nagbago na siya. Slow down na raw. What if it was 100? Then still drive safely. Because 100 is not greater than 100. Right? So what if, ang sabi natin, if it's greater than or equal to the speed limit, kailangan siya mag-slow down. How would we update our formula? Right? Pwede ring equals, we could do the same formula again. Right? Pero baliktad lang. So instead of so dahil ito lang na iba, pwede gawin lang natin ito. Babaliktarin natin like kanina. So if the current speed is less than the speed limit, then drive safely. Otherwise, slow down. Right? Baliktad lang natin. Kanina kinuha na, we tested for the odd value or yung iba and then answered for that because yung ibang situations isa lang sagot. Or we could also put it this way. If the current speed is greater than or equal, pwede rin po yan sa formulas natin. Dalawa yung operator. Greater than or equal to the speed limit, then slow down. Otherwise, D7. Slow down, otherwise drive safely, I8. 7.
Oh, di ba?
Right.
Galing ka.
Pareho lang dapat ito.
Anak, batay mo si nanay. Oh, laka na. Hindi, ikaw na. Pareho pa kayong gugulong sa tapat ng mga puwet mo. Tapat ng puwet nyo.
Pwede po, pa-mute.
Wait, kahit ko ba? Oh, ikaw. Laka na. Anak, mauna ka na. Mahirap na rin siya. Ito ka, laro ka na. Kailangan ko lang namak niyo.
There. Di ba po? So basically, this formula and this formula is the same. Di ba? If it's greater than or equal to the speed limit, then we say slow down. Okay? Now, one thing about the if is we could put it in another if function. So for example, using the same scenario, we have a speed limit and we have a minimum speed. Right? So, now we need to check if we're less than the maximum speed limit but is greater than or equal to the minimum speed limit. So, para kung SLEX lang yan, minimum 60. Pag ang takbo mo dyan, G, suhulihin ka ng highway patrol at maraming magagalit sa'yo. So, same thing here. So, we need to check at least a couple of things. As you can see in the example, we need to check for 6 things actually. If it's greater than the speed limit, we say slow down. If it's less than or equal to, then we just say, okay, chill ka lang, drive safely. If the speed is less than the minimum speed limit, then we're saying you're too slow. If it's greater than or equal to the minimum speed limit, then okay lang, chill lang. But also in this scenario, what we want to see also is parang if speed is less than or equal to max speed limit, diba? And greater than or equal to minimum speed requirement. Hindi dapat ako nag-equal. Right? So how do we do that? Kasi hindi naman natin pwedeng sabihin, di ba? Greater than or equal to that and less than equal to that. Well, there is, pero hindi siya hindi naman pwedeng if greater than speed limit tapos ganyan, right? So what we actually need to do is nest 2 if statements together. So again, paano ba yon? Let's take ano here, di ba? Kung ano yung magkapareho, we clump that together. Kung ano yung iba, we check for that. So let's first check if the current speed is greater than or equal to the speed limit. The minimum speed. So if the current speed let's check pala the exceptions first. So ano ba exceptions? If it's greater than the speed limit or if it's less than the minimum speed. In formulas, it's better to do the exceptions first and then handle the general conditions later. So ano ba exceptions? If it's less than the minimum speed or greater than the maximum speed. So unahin natin minimum speed. If current speed is less than the minimum speed, then you're too slow. Right? Otherwise, wag muna tayo maglagay ng false. Whenever you see square brackets in a function in the help tool, that means it's optional. So, pwede mo siyang hindi ilagay. So, let's check our formula. Is 6 less than the minimum speed? Yes, it is. Then, ang dapat speed up, right? Let's say speed is 60. Pareho na siya, false ang sagot because chinek lang natin kung if the current speed is less than, right? So false, ibig sabihin, di na niya ginawa ito, dito na siya. So let's compute for that. We said earlier that we could nest if functions. So ano ibig sabihin ng if nest if functions? We could put an if function inside another if function. Paulit-ulit siyang if, depending on the situation that we need. So dito, instead of giving a value dun sa false, do if false, we'll put another if. And let's check for the other exception, which is if it's greater than the speed limit. Diba? So another check, if current speed is greater than the speed limit, then we say slow down, right? O hindi ko rin muna tapos di ko ilalagay ko ano yung okay. So false pa rin. Pero checkin natin if it's 120, slow down or overspeeding. So let's go back to the formula, tama ba? Is D19 is current speed less than the minimum speed, D18? No. So we skip this, diba? Because this is a false, this is a no, we skip the do if true, we go to do if false. So do if false, you put in another if function. Sabi natin, then we need to check if D19, if current speed is greater than speed limit, then we say I8, which is slow down, which happened, right? Now, is the first if statement, if function complete? Is it complete in all its parts? Yes, it is. It has the condition, it has do if true, it has do if false. Is the second if function complete? Actually, 3 questions. It is also complete because the do if false is optional. Even that. But can we still put something? Can we still put a do if false? Yes, we can. Kasi wala pa tayo linalagay. Okay, so question. Do we put more if statements here or that's the question. Do we put more if statements to check for the other things? Sir Mark June, what do you think?
Sir, no need naman na. Kasi yung equals tsaka yung greater than the minimum speed, parehas lang naman.
Correct. Tapos, di ba? Correct. Thank you. So, di ba yung greater than and equal to minimum speed at saka yung less than the maximum speed or equal to the maximum speed, isa lang yung sinasabi. So that means if it's not greater than the maximum speed, if it's not less than the minimum speed, then we have met the other criteria. So, because it is not less than the minimum, it is not greater than the maximum, then we have met all the criteria. We could just put drive safely. So, if this was 100, drive safely. If this was 60, drive safely. If this was 120, which is more than, then nagbago, slow down. If this was 59, it also does the exception. One thing lang with the if function or with the if command, try to remember where you are at. Kasi here we have two if functions. Pero para nakakalito na, especially if first time mo nakita to. For ano to? Ang dami. 'Di ba? You have to know which part of the if function you are at. If you're in the condition, the do if true or do if false. And if you're nesting ifs in another if function, then okay, where am I? What part of the if function am I? Kasi if we put for for example, bawa naglagay tayo dito extra, then you would get an error message, hindi niya masasabi kasi this is already the do if false. Itong buong ito, yun na yung do if false part natin eh. Wala nang pagkatapos. So this part is syntax error na yan, mali na. Baga may extra na tayong sinabi, hindi naman natin kailangan sabihin. Diba, para totoong buhay lang. There. Okay, so 311 na. We still have two more functions, which is more of an application of the if functions in what we've already learned. So I'll give everybody 2 minutes. Please try and do this function on your own. Right? Check for if it's greater than, if it's less than, then if it's neither of that, then that means you output drive safely. I'll give everybody 2 minutes, and then let's see if you can duplicate the formula on your own. Okay? Please click on the raise hand button in MS Teams if you're done with the exercise.
Nawala si sir.
Phil?
Yes po.
There you go.
I'm here lang.
Ako yata. Casey.
Parang wala question na. Nakuha ba lahat?
Yes, okay naman sir. Nakakuha naman po. Nakakahabol naman.
Okay. So, balik po tayo, no? Here we are. So again, what do we want to do? We want to check for the first exception that we've identified. In this case, balik na rin po natin. Let's check if we're over the speed limit. So if the current speed is greater than... before that, let me share something with you. Sometimes po, dun sa ating paggagawa ng formula, like it's better for us if we, diba? Mas madali if we're talking like in English or in Tagalog, right? Well, we could do that with Excel. We could do some named ranges. For example, this is column D19. If we go here to the top left portion, it says D19 also. Pwede po natin palitan yan. We could rename this cell to a cell that we wanted name. For example, current speed. Siyempre, naghang na naman ang aking Excel. Para magsingit lang tayo ng isa pang tip again. Here we go. Here. So, as I've said, yung D19, which is current speed, I renamed that cell to cur speed. Diba? Yung minimum speed, from D18, I'll rename to min speed. And yung speed limit, I'll rename as max speed. So by doing that, instead of saying if D19 is greater than D17, I could actually type in, if it will let me type, it does, but ayaw niya mag-update. There. If now I could put current speed, diba, D19, I could still do that, or I could type in the name I gave the cell. If current speed, see it's there now in my options. I could type that in or just press tab, is greater than limit, max speed pala, max speed. See there, it's there in the options, so with that parang text balloon icon, max speed. Then I need to say slow down. Then, diba? So I have my condition. If I have do if true, then I need my do if false. And my do if false will be another if. If current speed is less than min speed, Ayun din siya. Mean speed. I hit tab para mag-auto-select. If my current speed is less than the minimum speed, then I say speed up. Otherwise, if I'm not greater than the maximum limit, if I'm not greater than the maximum speed limit, that means I'm equal or less. Tapos, since we already checked that, and I check if we're below the speed limit, and the answer is false, that means we're equal or higher than the minimum speed, then that means okay lang ang ating speed, then we just say drive safely. Kulang tayo daw ng isa pa. And I can accept that correction. Dalawa. So now if you look at our formula, it makes more sense. Compared to this one, di ba? If D19, D18, I22, sa mga dyslexic, medyo masakit sa mata ito. But if we rename ourselves into something more, into something that we recognize faster, di ba? Instead of saying D19, that means it's the current speed cell, right? If the current speed is... So this makes more sense, right? Compared to our formula here. Right? This makes more sense. In fact, we could also rename this to slow down. And then we could rename this to speed up. So in our formula, we could say current speed is less than, then we could say speed up. Current, slow down pala to. Slow down. Ito yung speed up. So this makes more sense now, right? Okay? Okay. Ayaw na naman niya. Okay, so what have we learned? We've learned the basic arithmetic functions, faster with sum, average, max, and min. We've learned the counts. We learned if, and we've learned the cell references. We're at the tail end of this session, and we'll incorporate the if functions in the sum and count functions. Basically, we're going to say only sum or average these numbers if a condition is met, or only count these cells if a condition is met. Okay? So before that, does anybody need a bio break? Quick bio break? Yes or no?
Alright, maraming salamat, Sir Phil. Before tayo mag-proceed, we can have a quick 10-minute bladder break or standing break. Pwede muna tayo mag-break ng 10 minuto. Tama, Sir Phil Chua?
5
minutes.
5 minutes po, 5 minutes para we could have Q&A.
Alright, tama. Naku, nagre-request si Sir Randy, 10 minutes daw. Baka mag-snack si Sir. Sige, 10-minute break, and then after that, so makakapag-recap and Q&A si Mr. Phil Chua. It's 3:24. Please be back. We will resume 3:34. Salamat. Thank you, everyone. Lahat ng questions, paki-type in na rin sa chat box. Thank you, Sir Phil.
Thank you.
Magre-resume na po tayo in 4 minutes. Salamat. We'll resume in 2 minutes po. Thank you. Once again, good afternoon, everyone. Sir Phil Chua, please. We're done with our bladder break. Salamat po.
Hello, hello. So welcome back. Is everybody Yan.
Sir Phil, meron ka pong nakashare. I think meron kang window na ibang nakashare, Sir Phil.
Ano ba yung nakashare?
Nakashare po
Slide,
yung
right?
Zoom mga faces po namin sa MS Teams. Salamat, Sir Phil. Thank you.
Okay. Is everybody back?
Yes. Yes.
You think? Okay, so quick recap. We're looking at the slide, right? So we've discussed we've discussed cell references, we've discussed SAM and the count functions, And we just finished with the if function. Now we're going to quickly run through applying the if functions or into the sum functions, pati sa count function. So we'll basically be looking at sum if, average if, max if, min if, and count if. Let's start with the count if. Let's share the Excel. Okay, so here's looking back at our count function, count example kanina. Now, this is a list of names with number of violations. So this would be traffic violations, and we would want to find out what we need to do with what we need to do with a license if we depending on the number of violations or tickets they have. So first we need to look at but first let's look at counting how many or giving a summary of this report using the count if function. So our first example or our first activity would be to count how many people have more than one ticket. So that means 2 or more kasi more than, right? Hindi natin sinabing has 1 or more. Sinabi natin have more than one ticket, so 2. So let's use the count if function. Count if. Sakyan natin ng konti para makita. Equals count if. Now count if is very simple. It asks for a range and a criteria. So normally, ang criteria natin could be a value or could be an expression. Range we know is a group of cells. So actually, let's start with this. So let's say I have another bin here with 9 violations. So pwede ko sabihin dito, count if this range of cells is equal to bin. So we could put in the value, that means it's equal to. If it's enclosed in parentheses, that means it's equal to this text or this string. If it's a number, then it's equal to a number, and so on. So in this example, count if this range is bin. So we should get the value of 2 kasi there's 2 bins. If we said count if ning, then there's only 1 because there's only 1 ning here. Excuse me, hold on. Okay, so we could also put in, instead of putting the value there, as with other functions, we could also refer to another cell and the value it holds. So Q5, which is name 1, if this was Ben, then that's 2. So simple lang yan, yung count if. So let's go back to the activity. If we said how many have more than 1 tickets, we could do count if tab, my range would be this. Hindi ko pa isasama yung dinagdag natin kanina. Then I could just say that, and I can enclose this in for this function we need to enclose this in parentheses, greater than 1. So we're saying is count the number of rows from I5 to I16 that is greater than 1. So if we count manually, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we should get an answer of 5 here. So 6. So so dapat dito mangyari tapos na ang mga panahon na nagbibilang tayo mano-mano sa ating spreadsheets. We can use the count if function. How many have more than 3 tickets? So pwede rin yun. O ito, how many have 3 or more tickets? So that means kasama yung 3, di ba? So it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to infinity, yun ang bibilangin natin. So it's count if the same row, comma, greater than or equal to 3. Kasi kasama yung 3. So there's 4 people with 3 or more. Let's verify by doing a manual count. 1, 2, 3, 4. If we change this to just greater than 3, then hindi masasama si 3. This should give us an answer of 3 also. 3 lang kasi hindi niya sinama ito. Because 3 is not greater than 3. 3 is equal to 3. How many have more than 1 ticket but less than 3? So now we're checking for 2 conditions. Now, so we can't use count if. Kasi isa lang siya. We only check for 1 criteria. If we want to check for more than 1 criteria, right? But more than 1 ticket, less than 3. Right? So basically, that's 2 checks, di ba? So instead of doing count if, let's do count ifs. If yung pansin nyo kanina, dalawa yung may count ifs. The only difference between the 2 is yung isa, pwede kang umulit ng range and criteria. Range, criteria, range, criteria. So ano sabihin nun? Select a cell and check it against a value. You can use another group of cells or that same group of cells and check it another value. So how does that work? So, violations, comma, greater than, more than 1 ticket, greater than 1. So, matapos natin isang criteria range, isang criteria. We can do another one. Just select the same thing and say that it's less than 3. More than 1 ticket but less than 3. So, dapat yung 2 lang ang lalabas dito, which is 1 and 2, 2. Dito, count if, 1 range, 1 criteria. And here, we did count ifs. 1 range, 2 criterias. Right? Or pwede ring 2 ranges, 2 criterias. Actually, we could have done this with okay na yan. Now, follow? Question? Okay. Ito, if function lang ito eh. But instead of doing the if here, and this is greater than and so on. Oh, if function lang to. Pero pwede din tayong gumamit ng count ifs. If lang to. If this is greater than or equal to 5, then we say revoke, right? Greater than equal actually yan. If it's 3, if I5 If I5 is equal to 3, then we suspend. Else, wala lang. If we copy the formula and we drag it down, right? So this is just going back. Basically, the count if is these examples. Questions with count if? Wala? Good. Okay, let's move on to lesson 6. Lesson is sum if, average if. So, again, our formula kanina, right? Total equals sum lang yan. Well, okay. Excel, come back. Diba? So we wanted to, so let's use the sum if. You know, we know that if is a condition that we need to check if true, to do something, if it's true or false. With sum if, count ifs, average ifs, Excel will only do the function. For example, sum will only sum your range if the condition is met. So for example, here in the sheet, we wanted to get the total score for section A, section B, C, and D. So looking at our table, that's section A, we need to add these two numbers. For B, C, and D, then it's just their total score. So, but how do we do that? Again, let's not consider doing this manually because not real life problems are this short. So, example, section, total score, right? So let's do sum if. Sum if, we need the range, we need the criteria, and optional is what we will need to sum. So what does that mean? I guess the best way is to show you. Range is what we need to check. So we need to check the section for this problem. So this is this range, right? We need to check if this is equal to these values, A, B, C, and D. And we need to do the same for the other row. So, question, do we need to lock these cells? Yes or no? Do we need to lock the cells? So we need to lock these cells because if we don't, as our formula goes down, our range goes down by one cell also. So we need to lock this. Locking it with the row numbers is enough. So that is a range. What's our criteria? This. We need to check these values against this value. And so on. And then, what do we need to sum if the condition is met? we need to sum the total score, which is this column. Right? So if I close that, so for section 8 gives me 287. Ano ba total score ni section A? 201 and 86. So the sum is 287, right? So if I copy that, see, may error ako dito. Oh. It's 0. Why? Kasi nag-move na yung aking criteria. Oh. Nag-move na yung sinasampo dito. These hindi na siya match because I locked this portion and I didn't lock this portion. Kaya error na. So I need to go back and fix this, lock this into either column and row or just the row numbers, which is this. Either will do. If I copy paste, 189 to 20, 135. So tama ba? Section D, total is 135, 135. Let's change our data set. Let's say ito ay section D. Si Mai is going to move to section D. So dapat magbago yung total natin kay section A pati kay section D. If we do that, and so it changed. So section A, 201 na lang kasi isa na lang siya sa sum if. Section D, dalawa sila. Si Mai and si Todd. 86 plus 135 is 221. 221. So a good thing with these functions is if we apply it into our problems, into our spreadsheets, we don't need to change the formulas once it's done because it's, kumbaga, future ready siya. The changes would need to be in the input, not the formula, not the function, but the inputs that we make. And the output will change accordingly. Okay? So same thing here. So let's say, let's average the score for exams with more than 30 items. So ano ba ibig sabihin nun? If these scores, if the test is more than 30 items or more, then let's average the score of those. So ano ibig sabihin? For Kayla, or for everybody, we will only average this group of scores, this, and this. Hindi kasama ito. And we do it per row. So how do we do that? So we do an average if. Same with sum if. Right? Ano range natin here? Ano yung range na i-compare natin ng value? So that would be the total score of the exam, right? So we need to check from quiz 1 to test 3. Hindi na siya nagpakita. Another restart. Okay. So how do we do that? Equals average if. What's the range that we need to compare? This, the total scores. And we lock it so that when we move our formula down, hindi siya gagalaw. Hindi siya move dito, dito, or dito. It will always stay here because we're locking the column and row numbers. What's our criteria? Sabi natin 30 or more items. So that means we do A greater than or equal to 30. Right? And what do we average? If this is met, then of course it's the raw score of the students. This I don't need to lock because I want it to change as my formula goes down. So 44. Kayla's average score for quizzes and tests more than 30 items or more is 44. So that's this, and this. If we look at our status bar, average is 44. If you don't have the average here in your status bar in Excel, just right-click on that kung saan meron, and then you can choose what status you want displayed. So if your average is unclicked like that, just click it para magkaroon, or put a checkbox sa tabi niya para lumabas siya. So 44. Would it work for the others? Yes. Okay. So 5 minutes left, 4 minutes left. I'm going to do max and min don't have a max if or minimum if function. So, but we could still combine the max and the if functions. So how do we do that? First, we start with, so like in this problem, it says highest score for section A. So let's use total score and return the corresponding value na hinihingi dito sa given. So how do we do that? We can't do a max if because there's no max if. What we can do is put a max function, and kanina sabi natin it just gets a range of values and returns the highest number. Pero since we need to check for a condition, we can put in an if function sa loob ng max. Because an if function can return a range or a number of cells, an array. So we check if, diba? We can check if the section, and I lock it, is this one. If equals E17. If it is, then return the total scores, and I lock that. Otherwise, I'll just return a blank. Let's try that without the blank. Now, in order for this to work, in your formula, we need to have Excel do an array function or an array computation, meaning it's computing a number of cells. So to do that, we do a Control-Shift-Enter, and it gives us 201. So obviously 201 kasi si Kayla lang ang nasa 201. But if we copy this to section D, so si Mai and si Todd ang section D, which is 86 and 135, it will give us 135, which is the maximum number. And same goes with the others. So if I change, for example, everybody to section A, so obviously the maximum number for the others will be gone, and it will only give you the highest number, which is 220. Okay po, medyo naubusan tayo ng time doon. Pero remember, so that goes the same with min if you are going to do this function, this formula, just remember, you need to hindi lang enter, kasi pag enter mag-error out siya. If you want to put if inside the max or min function, or maybe this other functions as well, such as sum or count, then you need to do a Control-Shift-Enter para hindi siya mag-error out. And you'll know that you did the right thing if in your formula bar, you'll see the curly brackets there. Okay. 3:59. Does anybody have any quick questions?
Any questions? Yeah, before we formally end.
having no questions is both nakakatuwa and nakakatakot. May natutunan po ba? Raise of hands sa may mga natutunan. Yung uulit pa sa mentor groupation. Or uulit pa with me. Ano po, may natutunan tayo today?
Ayan, everyone, pwede pong paki-unmute yung microphone nyo at kung okay lang pong ma-turn on ng video camera for a group photo, please. Yung mga okay lang mag-video camera, please. I will not turn on my video cam para lahat makita on the screen. So maraming salamat. Biogenetic, ano pong pangalan niyo, sir? Biogenetic ang account.
Jason Fernando po.
Okay. Ma'am speaker, ikaw din po, please. I want to turn on my video cam, pero hindi kasi kayo makikita lahat kapag nag-on pa ako. Maraming salamat. So, Sir Joshua, Sir Jericho, Mark June, Christopher, Jose Randy, Lilet, ayan. Please turn on your, paki-unmute naman ang yung mga microphone at pasalamatan naman natin si Sir Phil Chua kahit medyo talagang naging challenging ang paglo-load and unload ng Excel file. For sure, relate na relate din kayo dyan.
Eto yung ano nyo.
Alright. Sir Mark, may natutunan po ba, Sir Mark?
Yes po.
May questions? Clarifications?
May recitation daw.
Actually, yung tanong ko lang po, paano po malalaman if dapat po yung formula dapat ka mag-control enter.
Ayun, Sir Phil.
No,
Doon sa binigay nating formulas, sum if, count if, average if, puro po enter lang yun. Lahat yun enter. When you get into a higher level of computing, then yung po tayo mag-control shift enter. One example doon yung pinapasok natin yung if sa max or min functions. So that is when we are forcing Excel or the function to return many values. Kasi po, if function, return lang niya isang value, di ba? Either true or false or kung ano yung binigay natin. Pero if we want madaming cells ang ibalik niya, like sa example natin kanina, gusto niya natin ibalik sa kanya, mga 5 cells ang ibalik niya, then control-shift-enter po yun.
Ayan.
Uses you, just enter lang.
Okay po.
Any questions na kayang-kaya pa natin ihabol to our awesome guru ng Excel? Sir Phil, 2 minutes. 2 minutes, any question? Mga
po.
Important. Ayan, salamat. Sir Jericho, ang ating functional student, may question ka ba? May it be small or big about Excel? Jericho?
Wala na po, ma'am.
Wala nang question. Ayan. So, hello everyone. Sir Phil, any final last tips or reminders as we end the workshop for this afternoon? Sir Phil Chua?
I think pwede in the lesson here, tandaan nyo lang kung may forever or wala, kung ano dapat gamitin. At saka remember, it's how you say it, it's not what you say in terms of Excel. Hindi maintindihan ni Excel yung computein mo to. Right? Hindi maintindihan niya yun eh. So you have to say to Excel, sum this range. Yung ganon. So it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's how you type it in. Nandun usually yung errors. And for a great Excel tutorial for many resources from basic to super advanced, I highly recommend the YouTube channel Excel is Fun. One word. Excel is Fun. I'm gonna put it in chat.
Excel is fun on YouTube.
Yes,
Excel is fun.
The educator is Mike. Mark ba yun, Mike? Mike Jervin. He makes complicated formulas and functions so simple. I know I learned a lot from that guy. So again, from basic to advanced, you could very great resource. Check it out sa YouTube.
Nice, nice. Excel is fun. Any other questions before we formally end ang ating learning session this afternoon? No more questions? Napakatamis naman ng smile ni Sir Jose Randy. Yes, Jose Randy, please, your question.
Ma'am, salamat, ma'am.
You're welcome. Thank you din, sir.
Nakita rin kita.
Ay, maraming salamat.
My question is, ma'am, are you single?
Ay, dahil po dyan, sir, follow me on DWBL 1242 Energia sa Pinas.
Hindi nga.
Yeah po, that's my radio show online. Maraming salamat. Yeah, let's all be connected. Please you can add our facilitator, Phil Chua, right? And Christine Loyola, and of course, the Mentor Group Asia. So as we end, allow me na mabilis lamang po to promote, if I can share my screen, kasi kanina pa talaga, hindi nagtopak yung ayan. Sir Phil, can you see my screen?
Yes po.
Alright, ayan. Very quickly, once again, maraming salamat for attending this Excel learning session. I know 3 hours will never be enough for an Excel class. Right, Sir Phil?
Yes.
Yung iba nga talagang 6-month course, 3-month course. So maraming salamat. So for the next few weeks, we have next week, if may kilala kayo who needs to learn instructional design, yung mga gumagawa ng module, nagtuturo, public or private school teachers, we have an ID class that's going to be on September 30. Miss Mel Casipi is a guru of ID. She's based in Canada. And of course, ang inyo pong lingkod, I'm the managing partner of Mentor Group Asia. If you know someone na medyo mahiyain when it comes to speaking, presentation skills development, yung pag nagpe-present sa mga boss, via Zoom, Tagalog man or English, we have a class upcoming on October 2 and October 3. Ayan, let's stop sharing. And as we end, once again, maraming salamat po sa lahat ng mga upa-attend. Pwedeng humingi ng matamis ng ngiti. Ayan. And one last, please like our Facebook page, Mentor Group Asia. And again, my Facebook page is Christine Loyola. Back-to-back kasi yung classes, so I have to be with Sir Phil. Christine with a K, Christine Loyola. And wag po kayong magugulat, our account manager, Janet, manghihingi lamang po sa inyo ng testimonial via email with your photo. Any questions? Mag-unmute naman kayo, magbabay naman kayo. Kahit Excel to, alam ko namang magaling kayo sa mga technical eh. Sir Phil, you can now say goodbye to your students for this afternoon. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Be safe and healthy. Ay, wait. Group photo nyo. Wait lang. Pumesto na muna kayo, please. Ayan. Ma'am Lilet, okay lang mag-ano ka, forward. Ay, nawala si Ma'am Lilet. Pa-turn on ng video cam if it's okay. If you're uncomfortable, we will not.
Rain.
Ayan, wait.
Rain.
Sir Phil, ayan, backward ka onte, Sir Phil. Medyo, ayan. Ayan. Alright. Ayan. Sir Christopher, gusto mo mag-backward ng onte, Sir Christopher? Ayan, sige. Adjust ng very, very much ni Sir Christopher. Once again, umattend kayo ng klase ko, Hosting Made Easy. Paano mag-present sa boss? Tagalog man or English, tutulungan namin kayo. Lalo na ngayon, online na lahat. Ayan, okay na. Sir Jureco, yung mata mo hindi nakikita. Kasi papost namin sa... Ayan. Alright, isang matamis na ngiti ngayong Sabado ng hapon na mukhang uulan. 1, 2, 3, smile! Alright, last one, Sir Phil. Okay lang bang i-present mo yung slide mo na may title na Excel, Sir Phil?
Sure.
Salamat! Sino po ang mga taga-MMDA dito? Wala? Naligaw sa kabilang class. Ayan yung mga iba niyong classmates na punta sa Zoom. Nalito yata sa MS.
Nga po.
Sa
Yung group
MS
ko to.
Teams.
Parang.
Oo. Hindi kasi, ayaw kasi namin pagsamahin na sobrang dami. Gusto pa rin namin mag-iit. Ayan. Maraming salamat, Sir Phil. Ayan. Yan na po yung biggest na. Alright, everyone, one more time. Wait a minute. Okay, one. Matamis ng ngiti.
Punta na sa ano.
Sir Phil.
Dati.
Sir Phil.
Dati.
Alright, 1, 2, 3, smile. One more. Thank you very much for attending the Excel class of Mentor Group Asia. Maraming salamat and God bless you. Let's all stay negative, ha? Negative sa virus. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, everyone.
Nana. Oh. Welcome! I'm back!
Oo, Cecil. Sabi yung pangit. Si Cecil biglang pumunta kay Jonah.
Oo.
Ano